I'm Sophie,
I'm Cass.
and this is
Podcast
with Sophie.
and Cass.
New series, Tomando y
Hablando.
ya tú sabes. And Tomando está right here. So first of all, let's say, what are we drinking? I'm drinking this freaking mojito thing. Let me tell you the story behind this thing really quick. My mom had bought it. She loves mojitos, right? And she's like, oh, I bought this mojito thing. And I'm thinking, because my mom bought it, I'm like, it's probably one of those like washed down imitations to a mojito, bitch. I've had like 3 sips and I'm lit. Like, this is some bullshit.
Oh shit. I mean,
Anyways.
honestly, that should be hitting you. Rum, I mean, I'm not a rum drinker. I really don't like, other than like a mojito, I wouldn't really drink
Me
rum.
neither. I don't really drink
No. Everything else I'm good with. But I'm happy. So I freaking love these. And when you come to the States, bro, like this is gonna have me
which
like on the floor.
might be soon because I'm getting vaccinated.
I'm so excited. So excited.
Anyways.
We can like film a pot, like we can film an episode together, like actually.
Yes.
In the same room.
We are going to.
Yeah. So anyways, what I'm drinking, keeping it light today, we're doing gin and tonic. This is Cutwater. Sponsor me, please, because I buy this too much. And it's actually my first time having the gin and tonic, but it's really good. So it's like gin with cucumber and grapefruit tonic water.
Ooh, that sounds fresh.
It's very refreshing. It's really good.
This is 6.2. I've never seen in any country, I mean, in any other country besides the US. Well, actually in Belgium, like, you know how here we don't have alcohol beverages in cans except for beer?
Yeah.
Like I've never seen gin tonic in a can before. Mm-hmm. The only place I've ever seen it in Europe was in Belgium, that they had like rum and Coca-Cola. It was like the weirdest thing. Like,
did you try it?
No. I don't really like rum, like in general, you know?
It can be a little harsh sometimes.
Yeah. Anyways, so today we're going to talk about something that I feel like resonates with absolutely everyone. Like anyone who leaves their house at some point in time can resonate with relationships. So we're gonna touch on different topics relating to relationships. And you know, the first one I want to touch on is the excessive need that not everyone, but some people nowadays have to get into relationships. Like, I don't want to be by myself, especially at our age. Well, you're about to be 25, so I can say our age. You know, once you hit your mid-20s, you're getting closer to your 30s, everyone's kind of like, what am I doing? You know, am I going to get married? Like, what is going on? So I feel like sometimes people just kind of like, I got this one and this is it. And it's like, I'll put up with anything as long as I'm not by myself.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's kind of hard to like just be like, I don't even get that, because I don't now though, because I was at a time where like that was how I not that I thought that way or felt that way, but it's like you do it subconsciously, you know. And sometimes you're like with people that you may not even really like you're just with them to spend the time or to not be alone. So I think that definitely, like, you know, you have to really think about like the reasons as to why you want to be in this kind of relationship, like, or, you know, is it, just ask yourself, like, do I really care about this person? You know, what do I like about them? You know, not just like them because they like me, you know. And that was something that I stuck by like for a long time.
My God, bro. I can think of so many people, and I've done this in the past, don't get me wrong, where you're just like, I'm just going to be with this person like in a serious relationship because he's the only one that wants a serious relationship back. Like, what is wrong with you? And I think that part of the problem is that people don't take the time to actually get to know themselves. So if you don't know yourself, if you don't know what you want, if you don't know you're not going to know what to look for in a person. So the
Mhm.
slightest, the slightest
Hints of
show of
affection.
affection
Yeah.
that someone has towards you, you're going to be like, oh, this person loves me, or this person cares about me. Like, no,
Mhm.
And so I'm reading this book, and I want to mention it because everyone, if you're listening, everyone, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're healing, whether you're not, you need to read this book. Not sponsored. It's called Single on Purpose. And basically, it's a book about building a relationship with yourself, getting to know yourself. It's this guy, the author is a therapist, and basically, he used all of the experiences that he's heard from doing therapy with issues that people have in relationships, and he's put it into the book. So, one of the things that he mentions, a lot of things, but one of the things that he mentions that to me, I was like, wow, this is so spot on, the different kinds of relationships that we have at different points in time. So, okay, in high school, he says, and this is true, we're very inexperienced. We are attracted to anything that's new, that's exciting, that's going to build some type of adrenaline. So, when you meet someone that makes you feel like, oh my God, I'm living so many new experiences with this person, like this is so much fun, you fall in love with that. And I don't know, maybe, not, and he said it, not everyone, he's like, this is a very broad stroke of what it may be at that time, but personally, I resonate with that. When I was in high school, I fell in love with someone that is not who I thought he was, but because I was so young and so vulnerable, and he was this
Experiencing
older
new
person,
things.
and I was like, I'm so cool, you know what I mean? Like, he's older, like everyone thinks that I'm so stinking cool because she's with an older dude and experiencing all these new things. And that doesn't always work out, because then come your 20s.
It's true. Everything's new because you've never had, that kind of intimate relationship with someone. Even if, you're just like 15, 16. And like, so it is, everything's new because it's, it's the first time. And it's funny that you say that because I never really understood like how it happened with me. Because for me, it's like, with my like high school love, like it was so quick for me falling out of it. So how you mentioned like new experiences, so out of high school, that was the first time I went abroad, like not for long, it was just vacation, but it was my first time seeing and experiencing so many new things, and that excited me, so that I in a way fell in love with that, like, and I was like, wow, like what is that?
I
like
can't
what
have this with him.
Yeah, so like what can I, like, so I had this curiosity of like, okay, what is that? Like I want to know more of the world, so it's like I kind of like my focus like shifted, into not a relationship, but now like what new experiences in the world can I have,
In
not
the
just with
world
this
can I
person.
have? Yeah. And in my case, like, and maybe there's people out there that have been through something similar, because it wasn't like a relationship, it was a situationship. The board, like, it never gets boring. And there is a huge part of that that's so toxic, because it never gets boring, because someone's lying all the time. You know what I mean? Someone's cheating all the time. Like, there's something new happening all the time. So it's like you never get bored, but it's like, who the fuck wants that,
Yeah.
So let me tell you, if that's your situation, you need to run because sometimes the excitement, it's just not worth it, to be honest.
It gets the best of you. And I think as we get older too, we start to value more our peace of mind than like that, like excitement, I guess. Not that like you should also let your relationship just like be whatever, but I think that again, you just focus on your peace of mind and you start to understand how the health of your relationship affects your mental health. And it's interrelated. You can't separate the two. And you can't think that you have control of things in your life if that's so out of control. And that's such a, relationships take so much of your time, so much of your mental energy. It's something that even if you don't have, like you say, it's a situationship, right? Even if you don't have terms for each other, like, oh, that's my girlfriend and I can, no. Like, aside from the terms, you're still spending that mental energy on this person. You're still thinking about them. You're still relating with them. It affects you, no matter how you want to like square or like you want to convince yourself. It does affect you. So it is something to like think about, not just like, you know, like you said, like you start to then value your peace of mind over everything else.
No, and you know, actually one of the things that he says in the book is he says healthy relationships are going to help you come closer to your true self, versus toxic relationships are going to pull you away from who you really are. And that's really what it is, you know. And actually from high school, he talks about the transition we have into our 20s, and it's kind of like what you mentioned with like the whole peace of mind, like you prioritize other things, because in our early 20s, you know, you have this mentality that unfortunately we're pressured by society. So you're like, okay, by the time I'm this age, I'm going to have this done. So when you start college, or even if you don't go to college, whatever it is that you're doing, you do think like, okay, I'm going to, you know, form myself and then eventually do this. What happens when you finish college? You're like, fuck, like life isn't what they told me it was. Like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So the people that get into relationships in their early 20s, when you think you have your life figured out, it's confusing, because you're with this partner and you think you're this person, and you kind of lose yourself in the relationship. And then you hit your mid 20s and you're like, I'm not this person. I don't want to be with you anymore. And then this other person's like, oh my God, you don't love me anymore. And what's crazy with the fact that he so specifically mentioned the dynamics of this relationship is, that is literally what happened to me. Like, I was in a relationship.
You're reading this and you're like,
yeah, I was like, what in the world? So I'm like, it's not only me, like this is something that's very common, you know, like I was in a relationship when I was in college, and I was figuring out what I wanted. And instead of figuring it out like within myself, I tried to look for that in him. And he's a completely different individual than I am, obviously, you know. So I was losing myself as the relationship evolved. And it got to a point that I was like, yo, who the fuck am I? And then I went to Miami. Miami fucks you up, people. I went to Miami and there was just no turning back. I came back and I was like, I don't want to be with you no more.
I'm not this person.
No, but
anymore.
Seriously. Yeah, but it was like, I'm not this person.
Because I think, and I mean, I don't know if specific to your situation, but it's like you were uprooted from your home, right? You know, and you were going through all these changes, and in a way, like you find comfort in this person. Well, although everything else is just kind of shitty, you know, this person is providing you this comfort. It feels nice and yada, yada, yada. But again, you're going back to like, you know, we're not perfect. No one's perfect. But what's your mental state to be in this relationship? You know, like, can you be supportive of another person? Because a lot of the times we also think like, okay, you know, what do I need? What do I want? You know, yada, yada. But like, what can you offer this person too, in terms of like a partner? Like, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to them? And these are conversations that also aren't had when you get into something. Sometimes you just, you know, go with the flow. Okay, cool, let things happen. But once you're actually into something, like, what are this person's goals and such? But I'm getting into that later.
You see, like that's, because this is the thing, like, in order for you to find yourself and to do the work for you, because this is the thing, if you're not there, like, how are you going to be there for a relationship? So in order for you to do the work, you're going to have to force yourself to be out of your comfort zone. Because my mistake for years was, because, you know, I move a lot, and with moving a lot comes a lot of solitude. Okay, so this is the thing, right? This is the thing. This is the motherfucking thing. When you are not in your comfort zone, because life is a bitch and it forces you to just move to a different continent. You're like, oh my God, this guy that's always hurting me, that's always hooking up with random bitches, he's my comfort zone.
Like, but what kind of comfort zone are you in?
And you keep going back to the heat, because it's like, you bring me something that no one else does, but then like you grow older and you're like, you don't bring me shit. Like the comfort zone sometimes, unfortunately, is the toxic zone.
Yeah. And
You
isn't
know?
that crazy? Because like we're supposed to feel good in these like circumstances. For example, like if someone's like, oh, like, you know, your comfort zone, you think like, oh, like I should like feel good and at peace or something. But you can be like not programmed, but you can learn to think that that toxicity is what's normal and it is what's okay, because you maybe have never had better or don't know better. Which then kind of goes into like the attachment theory. From, you know, aside from that book that you mentioned, there's this one book by another relationship psychologist. His name is Stan Tatkin, and it's called Your Brain on Love. And it's really, really good because he talks about attachment styles, how they, you know, come to be, and then like also our needs as humans. Like you know, forget like relationships or like partners and stuff. We have to connect with at least one person in this world. We need that for like our peace of mind. So sometimes if you have that, you know, connection with someone that really isn't that good for you, it's not even just, you don't think about like all the toxic things. You just think, you know what, I have this one person that gets me, and that's what I need to like feel okay.
Yeah.
So learning to like move away from that takes a little bit of self-study, takes a little bit of being by yourself, so you can, you know, kind of like understand the experiences that you had as a child and how it affects how you relate to men and women in the world, be that because
Yeah.
in a relationship with your parents or whatever primary caregiver you first had.
That's the thing, like with getting to know yourself, you don't only get to know like what you want, but also like, how am I? Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense? Like, how do I behave with others as well?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I make others feel like, and with attachment style also comes love language. Everyone has a different love language. He put an example, which I was like, that's crazy, of this one relationship. There was this one girl who started dating this guy, and it was super intense, and they were always having sex, and it was crazy good. But then a year went by, and she was like, I just don't feel the connection anymore. So for her, her love language was words of affection, and
Mm-hmm.
his love language was sex. So for him, the more sex that they had, the more that she loved him. But in her eyes, it's like, this is just having, you know, like it wasn't
Yeah.
anything like emotional or anything like that. So they had to work together to be like, okay, I know that this is what makes you feel good, so this is, I'm going to do this so that you feel loved by me, and vice
Yeah.
versa. And I think that that's so huge because
Yeah.
that's the thing sometimes, like, and I used to do this a lot. I've been single for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But through this time that I've gotten to know myself, I've also like analyzed my past relationships, and I'm like, I used to be the kind of person that it's like, oh, I would never do this, or I would do this for him, like why isn't he doing it for me? And it's like, no, like maybe that's just not his way of showing you that he loves you, you know, maybe
Yeah.
his way of showing you is differently. And I think that a huge part of building a healthy relationship is knowing, like, and appreciating their way of showing you that they love you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, you know, like you said, knowing and showing the kind of love that they like to receive or they know how to receive, um even though that's not the way that you may show love or how you want to receive love, I think that that invites like a conscious effort in a relationship. And I think that's so important. Like we sometimes may just go along relationships and going with the flow, and we don't really, we're just with the person, and you know, you focus on like, oh, what am I getting and where are we going and what are we doing? But those small acts of loving in a conscious way, I think can make a world of a difference. You know, me having in mind like, hey, like you like this, for example, um okay, I'm gonna try, you know, I'm gonna make an intention to do that with you more often, and vice versa. And I think that that's also, we can't always focus on like, what can I get out of this, how
Yeah.
can you give, you know, and with no expectation. Or like, how do
That's
you
the
want to be
thing.
treated?
Yeah,
Treat that person
yeah.
in that
The
way.
same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, like, right now, the reason why I'm so adamant about not dating is because I can't offer what I want.
Mhm.
Like, what I want from a guy, I can't offer that right now. So it would be very selfish of me to be demanding
Of
of
something that
something
you
that
can't
I
give.
can't give.
Yeah.
So right now I'm like, I'm not ready to date, and I'm enjoying the process of getting to know myself and appreciating my time. And that comes even with like hookups and stuff. Like, I just don't care to dedicate time to like random dudes. Like, I could be doing something
Yeah.
else, something for myself or with my family,
Yeah.
whatever the case is. And don't get me wrong, it's taken me a really long time to get to where I am today, because I used to be the kind of person, which, like you said, that goes to relationships, from relationship to relationship, or like I always had to have someone because I needed to be distracted by something exterior so I wouldn't have the time to look inside myself,
Hmm.
which
And you
is such
can
a shitty
also,
thing to like
yeah.
feel.
But I think, I mean, maybe, I don't know if this book touches on that, but I think that everyone goes through that. Everyone goes through a
Yeah.
point where they're like just not caring. And then some people never get out of that. And not caring, let me rephrase that. They get to a point where they're looking for something outside of themselves. Yeah.
And yeah, anyways, we'll see you next time.
Until next time, thank you.
Peace.
Appreciate you.